Hello viewers out there, you're welcome to the real Hangout on Parlour TV with your hosts. My name is Jerry the King, and today we have a special guest in the studio. Guess who we have? We have Mr. Bitto Bryan from BBNaija Double Wahala. Wow, Mr. Bitto.
Hey Jerry, how you doing?
I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm good.
You look great.
Thank you very much.
Wow. You went, you saw, you conquered.
Yeah, if you put it like that,
Yes.
BBNaija is one of those very awesome platforms as it regards reality TV shows and game shows in the country and across Africa. So it's almost like the go-to place for entertainers who want the next stage to be heard, to be seen and known world over.
Yes, yes. How did you feel when you got out of the show so early?
But basically, it's one of those things you're told to expect going into the show. There's no assurance, there's no guarantee that...
Assurance.
Yeah, the word assurance.
Assurance.
There's no guarantee that you would stay to the end of the 85 days. But
Yeah.
then basically, everyone always tells you, if I can just be on the show, even if it's for this amount of... So I had that mentality going into the show. I thought about the fact that, you could possibly get evicted early.
Yes.
So how would you take it? And I came to terms with that fact and I said, okay, hey, here's what, I'll leave every day at a time. And if my time on the show is done, I'll embrace it and move forward with life.
Wow. But when you guys got to the show, you got a big surprise. You were paired. Did you see that coming?
Not at all. The pairing was a shocker to almost every housemate, and even when the pairing process was about being scheduled by Big Brother, we thought it was just for the time being. We thought it was just for a task at hand.
Yeah.
But then to be told that you have to be evicted with the person, if the person is saved, you're saved.
Yeah.
That was a twist from the fact that you actually went to audition as a person, and then your fate is now tied to someone. But hey, that's the harsh reality of the world we live in.
Yes. And what would you say about your pair? Princess.
Princess is an awesome person.
Yeah.
The thing about the Big Brother house is the irony of suspense, the fact that whatever you do in the house is basically what you perceive. You don't know how people perceive you on the outside, and most times you're bound to want to think for your partner since
Yes.
you're paired together. And I think most times it kind of weighs your game plan down. If you come into a game with a strategy in your head, like I tell people, you go to play football, you decide the formation you want to play and you know the tactics you want to rely on.
Yes.
So now you have to think for your pair. Princess was awesome. Like, we bonded in the first week of the show. Yeah, people keep referring to the last fight we had before we went off the show. I just think sometimes people get distracted from the game on ground and focus on things that don't matter. So it was one of those things.
Did you have a strategy going to the show?
Well, I must tell you, I thought about things and ways to keep my name like in the media space, especially on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook and all that.
Okay.
So basically, I developed things I would put out there that would make me like stay on people's lips and keep talking. And one of those things was constantly being overly dramatic. And people would just find out what's wrong with this, but why is he acting this way? Why is he doing things this way?
Really?
So it was one of those things I went to the game.
Even the crying was dramatic?
Yeah, in a way.
Are you serious? It got to me.
That's how it is.
It got to viewers, man.
No, basically, that's one of those things. You know that you have limited time on the show, depending on if the viewers like what you want or not. But then you have to give people moments to remember you off the show from.
Yeah.
You ask people like, you were cool in the house, but the day I didn't like what you did was, you keep people talking. But people now come off the show and then they can't remember you for anything.
Yes.
They're like, you're too quiet in the house. We didn't even... Oh, shall you try it? That's not why I went to the game show with. I went in with the background that no publicity is bad publicity. So for me, being on the show was big enough publicity. But then I had to own moments in the game that people could actually say, okay, let's throw back to this moment. And I was lucky enough to have some priceless moments in the house.
Wow, priceless moments. I can look at your finger. I can't see any ring.
Yeah,
What's up with that ring?
The ring is in my pocket.
In your pockets?
Yeah.
But you wore it throughout the show. You didn't take it out.
No, basically then at that stage.
You was confused,
So
you
then
were
at that
wondering
stage of
what
the
was the
show-
ring for. Were you married or were you betrothed to someone? Or something like that.
So my ring story is still the same story, but then going into the house, it's more like you don't have that privacy you have.
Yeah.
Like basically I could be in the house with the ring in the pocket, but you never know Big Brother. He might just come up with a secret tax or someone steal Bitto's ring and all that. So I had to keep it on my hand all the time. But the ring means a lot to me, and it's something I always carry around, even if I don't wear it on my hand.
What does the ring mean to you?
But basically, I keep telling people, Nigerians just find it hard to believe that people are supposed to keep memorabilia of loved ones to remind you of people who have passed. and that memory that keeps you wanting to achieve, take another step in life, make another mark for yourself and keep you focused. So it belongs to my late mom, and I kept it to remind me of the fact that every step you take in life, you have to honor her memory, and you just have to stay focused.
So what about the fact that people started saying you're married? How did that start? Who sparked that rumor?
It's one of those things in the Big Brother game. It's the iota of what we call suspense.
Okay.
Yeah, because Big Brother knows everybody's profiles in the house. He knows you from your health records, your criminal records, your family background, almost everything. They don't just pick people off the street without thorough checks about them. So Big Brother actually knew a certain housemate was married.
Okay.
And for the fun of the show, how about you using an alibi who is wearing something that looks like a wedding band? Because as soon as we got on stage, Ebuka did say, one of the housemates is married.
Yes.
So that alone would have made all the housemates start like double checking each other, looking at each other, and then obviously the married person was
with the ring.
Obvious the person with the ring. So it's one of those things, though.
Wow. You didn't clear the air when Princess was trying to probe into that issue. You tried to postpone. You said till tomorrow we'll talk about it. Do you think that was a wrong move?
No, basically, that's the point I said about you being paired with someone and the person actually taking the fall for your problems.
Yeah.
I knew that if I was going to talk about it, because I looked at it from the angle where we're given rules and she had infringed on a number of rules, and if I had decided to talk about it that night, it would be obviously something that could incriminate our pair as regards having strikes or being sent home. Because first of all, the rule of violence, she actually slapped me, she rained verbal abuses and stuff like that. So I just decided to keep it calm because this was my pair, and some other pair had that same issue of being confrontational and having an altercation between them. So if my pair was still seen in that same light, it probably would have been two pairs being disqualified in that night. So I just decided to hush it down and make it look like nothing happened and just play it cool.
Okay. Well, it seemed like when you played cool, you were like guilty. So they were just trying to, play cool about that. What it looked like to many people. Maybe this guy is married. He doesn't want to speak. He doesn't want to talk. You understand? Well, actually, when you look at the voting, it seems like Nigerians really love drama, and they love drama and sex drama. When you look back at your time at the house, what do you regret? You're not participating in any of such, or not being entangled in any relationship as it were?
No, I always tell people no, because my time in the house, there was at least that moment where we shared somewhat of a romantic affiliation with another housemate, and that was If Another. And coming out from the show, even while we were on the show, and if we knew it was going to make the housemates talk, probably would get reception from outside. And when we came out from the show, very first media briefings I had, people kept asking, was what you and If Another shared actually real? Did you guys have some sort of connection? And I was like, no. The thing there is, I think from the theme for this year's Big Brother Naija, drama, intrigue and romance. Romance stood out the most, and I think that's what's one of the reasons why Big Brother paired us, because they wanted to spotlight on the romance.
Yes.
Because before going into the house, I actually saw some flyers, designs on the official page, DSTV Nigeria, on Instagram. The romance will be televised, and I'm wondering, you haven't met your next housemate, how certain are you these people are going to be romantically involved?
Yes.
So I think it was kind of the focus of this year's show to spotlight without there, because coming out from the show I noticed that watching clips and reviews, most of what was shown was when people were all loved up.
Yes.
That was what was shown. So it doesn't take anything away from the fact that there were other things on the show which we as housemates were more particular about.
Especially creativity.
You're
a poet.
Yes, I am.
So why would people want to vote for someone who is in love with someone?
No, basically,
leaving out the one who's a poet, who's creative.
Everyone has their favorite. That's what we always tell people. Everyone has their favorite, and for me, I always tell people, Big Brother is a phase in life. It's not supposed to be the end of the road.
Of course.
I always tell people that is one thing you're supposed to take off from the show. Yes, you've gotten the publicity. You had a life before Big Brother. You have a life after Big Brother. Big Brother is more like an amplifier. You've been talking, heard. Probably you just have a small audience. Big Brother is more like an amplifier that gives you a louder audience.
Of course.
So what are you giving to that audience? It's nice to know that, the blogs are always going to follow your love story. Who are you in love with? Who are you getting a Porsche today? Who's getting assured tomorrow? That type of stuff. But then, based on your craft, it's going to be something of a long term for me. That's why in the house, radio jobs, TV jobs, posting, being creative with words, it's something that came to me very natural.
Okay.
So for me, it's something that's going to stay a long time. You know, relationships come off, they die, people break up, people
Of course.
have side chicks, people have baby mamas, people, those stuff do happen. But then for me, that's not what I was selling. If I wanted to sell stuff like that on the show, I definitely would have put it out that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were you happy Miracle won? Were you rooting for Miracle? Or?
I always tell people, like, basically, as a housemate, there's no way you could root for another housemate. You're just being insincere to yourself, because you probably would have picked yourself a winner.
Of course.
Yes, but I always tell people, the man Miracle, I think his name worked for him. I believe so much in fate and destiny, so it was his time.
Okay.
He was destined to win it, and he won it. So it's awesome to know that everyone in life has a time. I always tell people, oh, people say you're a celebrity, you're a star. I said, we are all stars and celebrities. We are stars waiting to shine. We're celebrities waiting to be celebrated. Yes. Everyone has their moment. So you just have to keep doing what you're doing. Some years back, I was sitting in the chair like you're doing what you're doing. So it's now awkward sitting on this half of the chair, being interviewed and all that. So it's always about time and chance.
Of course, time and chance. And your chance come very soon. Okay, let's talk about life after Big Brother.
Okay.
Life after Big Brother, how's it been? The reception, what have you seen? What have you realized? What have you learned?
So basically, I always tell people life after Big Brother is like life before Big Brother, just that there are a lot of do's and don'ts, so many guidelines, so many things you have to adapt to. Like before the show, it was okay for me to be in a public bus with everyone, hop on the back of motorbikes from one destination to another. Then after the house, people tell you can't do stuff like that because it looks like you're in a bad life. So after the Big Brother, nothing has changed about your life. Oh, you have to stay relevant, you have to do this. And particularly, I'm someone that begs to differ from that line of thought.
Okay.
I always felt, growing up, I came from a very humble background. I didn't come from a family with much affluence, and I don't still belong to a family with much affluence. So that's the very fun part of it. So if I still stay humble, like my background, it doesn't mean life hasn't changed after Big Brother.
Of course.
Before the reception, you find you walk down the street, people already know your name, you don't need to introduce yourself. Most times you have an idea, proposal, it's treated with much more respect. You don't get to wait on long queues. You want to see a CEO and MD, you get treated to the fact that you can even meet governors and stuff. So I think there are more opportunities for you. There is more welcome, there's more respect. So that's just the thing that changes.
But are you leveraging on that? On the whole
that's an obvious thing. If I'm not leveraging on that, I won't be here in the first place.
Okay.
But basically, if you had to come for an interview like this and you had to sell yourself as a brand, you couldn't probably afford to, especially for a platform as big as DSTV, for you to pay for adverts and all that.
Yes.
But then you get advertised by DSTV. Even when you leave the show, for the rest of the 85 days, they start the live shows with your picture, showing that you're evicted. They follow your life outside the house. You do stuff as well as your social media. Most times you get your sponsors of the show, they still regram from your page, they repost, they keep in people's faces. So it's something you could never afford. Imagine having to pay a certain blogger to put you on your page, or a certain social media or brand influencer to put you on your page, but now you're in the news for free.
Yes.
So that's more or less leverage, even if you don't leverage on it. All you have to do is, like I tell people, be yourself, be creative, know your goals, drive towards it.
Okay. So what is Bitto doing now? Like, what are you into now?
All right, there's a lot I'm into. Basically, before Big Brother, OAP, radio, TV, still the same part line, event host, MCing, still that part. Voiceover, most times you hear adverts on radio, television, you never know the voice behind it, there's no face behind it. Most times we're involved in stuff like that. Narrations for documentary films, film features and all that. And then also not forgetting about the fact that we have our own corporate and social responsibility to the communities we find ourselves in.
Yes.
Because to much whom is given,
much expected.
Obviously, in the same measure, is supposed to be reciprocated.
Of course.
So for me now, on that part, is I've always wanted to do stuff with charity, and leaving Big Brother, I got one endorsement with an organization. It's called Pink Oak. Okay. Pink Oak is a cancer trust fund that raises resources for treatment of cancer patients, for people who cannot afford to treat. And you know the perils of people living with cancer in the country, and Nigeria doesn't really have structures on ground to ensure that these patients are given the best care they can.
Yes.
So Pink Oak approached me and said, okay, would you like to work with us? And I said, yeah, that's what my brand stands for. My brand stands for being able to give back to society, charitable acts, and of course philanthropy. So I'm in partnership with Pink Oak on the charity side of things, generating and raising revenues and funds to help people suffering with cancer be able to afford treatment at no cost at all.
Okay. Wow, that's incredible. That's nice. That's lovely. Okay. Let's veer off Big Brother a little. Let's move to entertainment. Who's your favorite Nigerian singer?
All right, in the Nigerian entertainment industry, bro, almost every artist is a catchy one today because our music style has shifted. So I have a couple of people I grew up listening to, the likes of Two-Face, and a couple of people I watched start their music and have actually hit the level now. People like Nwobodo, people like Davido, people like Techno, people like Wizkid. So in Nigeria right now, it's quite difficult to pinpoint one artist you like the most. So basically, I follow almost every tune that you can boogie to.
Every tune?
Almost every tune.
You don't have a favorite genre or something?
No, I don't. I listen to everything from Afro pop. No, almost every genre of music is one I listen to. Listen to blues, Afro beats, you know. So anything that just music for me, it's something that always gives you a connection to it. There's songs you listen to, they remind you of someone. The songs you listen to, they give you the kick. You feel like it's party time.
Yes. Like.
So all those type of things are things that you just, you know.
Yeah.
So it's one thing. Music, you have to connect to music depending on your mood
and the time.
So I have a song for every moment.
Wow. So what's the song for this moment?
So the song for this moment would be more like an Iyanu by Iyaya.
Wow.
Pour water for my head, or just like, you know, those cool feel moments. You're not partying, you're not turning up, but you're getting music that inspires you to just keep hoping, and you know that soon and very soon everything will set.
Okay. Well, do you think Nigerians are too distracted from the real thing, like the real situation of Nigeria right now? Do you think we are too distracted? We are too tuned off the reality?
But basically, I always tell people it's not a day's problem for Nigeria. It's a problem we were born into. It's a problem we probably would grow old trying to solve. So our problems as a country would take collective effort to solve. And like I said, the one day at a time formula is the best. The next thing that might help us solve our problems is staying focused towards the next elections, getting our PVCs and being ready to vote any candidate with a possible prospect of transforming Nigeria from the Nigeria of our troubles now to the Nigeria of our dreams.
Wow.
So it's one day at a time.
That's great. Do you have a PVC?
Obviously I do.
Oh my God. So what are you going to tell the viewers out there?
Basically, seriously, your vote is your power. I know in almost everything people say the country, political races and all that, and people have a way of manipulating votes, but just play your part and leave the rest to God. Make sure you step out there, cast your vote for your preferred candidates, and then let's see how that goes.
Wow. Are you looking at politics in the future?
Basically, the truth about it is everyone is a politician, like it or not. In your family, you play politics. You have your favorites, even though you pretend you don't. You have the person who, even when they're wrong, you stand behind their back. You have the person who you're closest to because you feel they're more loved or you love them the most, and you are possibly drawn to getting more favors from them. We play politics at different levels. So the thing is about the level on which you're playing the politics.
So what level do you intend to play in?
If I intend playing politics, it will be based on the fact that people choose to appoint me, say, okay, commissioner, this, that, help oversee this. That's it. But about going to campaign for votes, I've done enough campaigning for votes on Big Brother already. Let me chill and
so you're tired of campaigning?
No, it's not that I'm tired of campaigning. The truth about it is, leadership is God-given. It's God-given. It's not something you learn how to lead. True leaders are born that way. You don't go to school to learn how to lead. It's a role, it's a God-given role. So if you're chosen and called to lead, it's best to be chosen and called to lead, not to use your money to influence, to amass power and wealth, to be cruel to your fellow people. So it's just that on its own.
Okay, I want to ask you one question. Are you happy being a Nigerian?
Obviously, I'm happy being in Nigeria. I always tell people you never get to choose the family you're born into. You never get to choose the color of your hair, the color of your skin. You may bleach, dye, or whatever you want to do to it. But then, those choices are divine. You never choose. You just get born. Even your name you bear, you don't get to choose your name. At some point in time, you decide to rename yourself.
Or tush it a little.
Tush it up and all that. But then, those are choices you can never make. So it's best accepting who you are and making the best out of it.
Wow. Since you say you don't want to be a politician, I wanted to ask you a question. If I were president, what would I do differently? You can answer that anyway.
No, it's difficult to say, but the truth about it is I think the problems of the country are not the problems we created for ourselves. These are problems we grew into having those problems.
Okay.
First of all, from the creation of the country Nigeria, from how we gained independence from the British, from our colonial masters, we had stuff. You know, people keep saying we should be centralized this way, we should be divided that way, we should be restructured in certain lines and parts in the country. But I keep telling people, when you go to the Western world, you find the Irish. The Irish could be likened to a certain Yoruba tribe in Nigeria.
Yes.
They stayed Irish, whatever language they spoke, basically there. And we had our own level of civilization before they came. But basically, when you look at the way African countries were named, you know, those colonial masters named us out of what they could get from us.
Yes.
Or they named the Ivory Coast because there was ivory there. Or the Gold Coast. Or Nigeria is the Niger area. So those are the things. It was more about what they could get. Those were the things that fractured us and made us have this social cultural problems of accepting the next person regardless of his ethnic background.
Yes.
If you have to offer him a job, you don't have to ask, is he Igbo, is he Yoruba, or is he Hausa? So these are the problems we have as Nigerians. So for me, if I were president, it would be a sensitization of Nigerians as a whole to the fact that we are all Nigerians. Could we drop our ethnic divides and embrace one another?
Yes.
If we had that on ground, I don't think we'll be having some headsmen killing people here, or people saying, okay, we're Niger Deltans and we're being robbed of our oil. Meanwhile, the resources are used to make the people in the north better. The northerners don't have anything. They have only granite pyramids. We have the wealth in the country. So for me, I keep telling people, it's best if we drop the idea of sentimental relationships towards one another and focus more on our unity, which is sacrosanct. And even though we have diverse cultures, the beauty is in our diversity.
The beauty is in our diversity, indeed. Indeed, that's great. That's great. We also have a fun segment where we ask you some fun questions off the record. Do you know Nigeria very well? You know?
I have a fair knowledge of my country. Social studies far back then, but then when you go past those school days, you just have to focus on the hustle. Now that one 90 papers.
The hustle.
The hustle pays more than.
But we don't forget about our country, do we?
We can't.
We can't.
We're patriotic Nigerians.
Let me ask you, who sang the national anthem?
Who sang the national anthem, or who wrote the national anthem?
Who sang the national anthem?
Well, I don't have an idea of who sang the national anthem. I know people wrote the national anthem and wrote 2 verses of the national anthem.
Oh my God, you got me. I was going to ask you to sing the 3rd stanza of the national anthem now.
The 2nd stanza, we have 2 stanzas.
Oh, we have 2 stanzas, right? Oh my God.
Anthem.
Oh my God. Bitto is so smart.
It's not being so.
You can't confuse Bitto.
It's not being so smart. So you have to actually. These things are things you don't have by heart, but you have to actually have a fair knowledge of the country.
Of course. Whose face is on the 5 naira notes?
When last did you use that currency?
Long time ago.
How long time ago?
Very, very long ago.
Let's see whose face is on the 5 naira notes.
Yeah.
I haven't used that in over 10 years now. I haven't even seen one over 10 years now.
Wow. Even when you saw it last, you couldn't.
The truth about it is, most times we now do cashless. Who
cashless?
Can you remember? I can't remember when last I actually had to pay for something.
Really?
Every time you just swipe your card or you pay online app.
Okay, but you know the face on 500 naira at least.
500? Can I remember? I can't even remember now.
Wow. We got you. Oh, 5 naira note we have Tafa Balewa.
Obviously.
And then 500 we have Nanaziku.
I'm just also playing along.
It's alright. It's alright. Okay. Like if you have a message for Nigerian youth, actually generally, like especially as regards to the not too young to run bill and stuff like that, what will you tell Nigerian youths? How should they get involved? What role should they play? And how should Nigerian youths view politics and governance?
Well, the truth about it is, like I always tell people about politics and governance, I tell people politics is played at every level you are in. People have the famous Goodluck Jonathan story about how he graduated from one cadre, one rank to the other.
Yeah.
He was former assistant class captain, became class captain, former assistant head boy, became head boy. All that story tells you is, at whatever level you find yourself, no matter how minute, little, or negligible the position you're holding feels to like, you just have to be the best representation of what that position requires of you. Whatever you're doing, you have to be the best presenter on set, the best, what they call it, videographer. Everything you do, it just speaks volumes for you. And I always tell people, the truth about it is, in as much as your CV is very colorful, if you don't have the capacity to back whatever is written down on paper, you would always make the worst leader. I'm not too young to run bill is a very big statement for Nigerian youths. We keep saying the older ones don't want to leave office to give us a chance to be able to fill up the vacuum created in having new leaders with more creative mindsets and who are more energetic to actually carry on these leadership positions. But the truth about it is, in as much as we keep saying this, how much more do we crave to be in those shoes? It's a question. It's a question for everyone. How much more do you crave to be in those shoes? What steps have you laid down? How credible are you as a person to be given a title to lead? It's one thing you can ask yourself. And I'm sure when you ask yourself that question, you could judge yourself. If I'm made, even if it's a councillor of my ward in the village, how well would I do that? Local government chairman, governor of my state. Most times we look at those big positions and crave for it, but then you have to have track record. You have to go through the ranks. I always keep saying, use yourself an example. Can you tell us where you were last year? Is it bigger this year? Okay, you're here this year. Where are you going to next year? So if you look at it that way, we know that this growth is like that. Not too young to run. Yes, run from where you are. It's not a sprint. This is either a marathon or a steeplechase. We cannot just say, okay, not too young to run. Okay, 25-year-old president. Happy in France. Macron and all that. But can you hold it down?
Can you hold it down? That's something to meditate about. Can you hold it down? Wow. Before we go on the show, where do you see yourself in the next 5-10 years, Bitto?
That's one question I always have a problem with. I never answer that question.
Really?
Because of the principle I have in my life. My life is the one day at a time principle. I prefer to even surprise myself. Like my next achievement should surprise me. Not to say I don't plan. Obviously, in the next 5 years, on a short term, I want to stay relevant in the space. I want you to keep watching out for the space. But then, again, you don't want to feel pressured. And not feeling pressured is now align that religious sentiment stepping of saying, my times are in God's hand. He knows best. Because we as Christians always know that famous Bible verse that says he knows the plan he has for you, and you just follow through that plan. So for me, in the next 5 years, I hope to stay alive, noting that the life expectancy in Nigeria is dwindling and sliding down. But I want to stay alive, and I want to keep putting out stuff, entertainment-wise. I want to stay in this entertainment space, create content like I'm doing right now, be able to also give back to the society through the income I'm amassing and gaining. So it's two-way.
Okay. Well said. Wow. So viewers, we had Bitto Bryan from Big Brother Naija Double Wahala edition in the house, and we've heard from him. Viewers out there, we don't know if you have comments, questions you want to ask. You can drop it in the comment section on our YouTube channel, Talk Parlour TV. You can also send us messages on Facebook, on Twitter at Talk Parlour, on Instagram at Talk Parlour. Till next time, we'll get someone in the studio, a different guest, to talk to us and to air his views on the Talk Parlour. And my name remains Jerry the King. This was the Talk Parlour TV Streets Hangout. Thank you.